Oh, wow, the doors are open. How's everyone doing today? Got some thumbs up, got some love, more thumbs up. All right, so I'm in Los Angeles. Where are you all from? Slovenia, Italy. Hey, I was in Italy just a few months ago. Germany, Guten Tag, or Guten Abend. Romania, Turkey, Fort Lauderdale. Hey, I grew up in Naples. Oh my goodness, Russia, Malaysia, Portugal, Canada. I was born in Canada. Ontario, more Germany. Ich kann auch ein bisschen Deutsch. Got myself a cup of Joe. Wow, Chile, India, Spain, Brazil. Oh my goodness, Lithuania. That's where my dad was born. Israel, Toronto, Ukraine. Fantastic. One of the greatest days of my life was taking a tour of Chernobyl, of all places. Wow, look at that. We got a lot of people in the room. Fantastic. I got my I travel obviously a lot for Unity, and today I've got my Riyadh mug. No one from US, strange. There's someone from Florida. Hey, all right, someone from LA. I'm in Redondo Beach at the moment. Yeah, it's been a interesting evening to say the least. Alabama, India, Kentucky, fantastic, Santa Clara. All right, so we'll give it like one more minute. We'll get started. The Netherlands, Atlanta. Lived in Atlanta for a few years. Another person from Germany. Guten Abend. No one speaks German to me in America, but ich kann Deutsch. Pakistan. I'm not depressed. Guten Abend. Vietnam. That is high on my list of places to go. Love Vietnamese food. Belgium. Spa is my favorite racetrack in the world in Belgium. Another one from Ukraine, Stockholm. The Unity Originals team is based in Stockholm. So if you've seen like Enemies or Book of the Dead, the new one, Time Ghost, those are all created and produced in Stockholm. Florida, I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Naples, Florida, Sao Paulo. She had a great developer day there earlier. From Redondo Beach. That's where I'm at right now. Hello from Turkey. Wow, what a fantastic diverse group. Cape Coral. I know Cape Coral very well. I grew up in Golden Gate, Florida, which is designed by the same dummy who designed Cape Coral. So the streets are all goofy, just like they are in Cape Coral. London, Cambodia. Yeah, also high on my list is doing a trek from Vietnam, Cambodia to eventually end up in Thailand. All right, Shu, we'll give it just another couple seconds and we'll dive into the Sunwall, northern part of Sweden. Very cool. I was just in Montenegro for Monte Games last week and went to Croatia and spent a couple days in Dubrovnik, which, if you've never been, that is an amazing place to visit. Colombia, hopefully we get back there soon to do another developer day. Montreal, bonjour. All right, awesome. So I'm going to minimize on my side, which you probably can't see, minimize some screens and shoot, let's dive into the talk. So that's me. I'm Mark. I'm in Los Angeles, Redondo Beach specifically, which never ever looks like that. Rarely do you see the mountains, but there are actually mountains there. So I run the advocacy team here at Unity, and we're going to be doing a great talk today on showing you some of the amazing new optimization features found in Unity 6. And we're going to do that by showing off the new Fantasy Kingdom project. So Fantasy Kingdom actually started out, it debuted last year actually at Unite as an HDRP project. And basically, it's one of these internal projects that we do where we kind of would say it, dog fooding or whatever, but basically just testing our own software as we were developing Unity 6. We created the scene using the assets from Cinti Studios, which you can get on the asset store. But actually, the Unity or Fantasy Kingdom in Unity 6 is available for download as well. I'll show you guys a link here in a bit. But yeah, so the HDRP version was really high detail, pushed a lot of the new features. And if you want to see the HDRP version of it, there's a video on YouTube. Just Google that or pop on YouTube and look for Fantasy Kingdom in Unity 6, and you'll see the HDRP version. But we are specifically going to talk about the URP version. So what we wanted to do was use all of the new wonderful features in Unity 6 to get very similar performance and quality to what we had with HDRP, but on mobile. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you today, some of the great optimizations that we've made, some of the really powerful new tools that we have, like the AVPs, the adaptive pro volumes. Wait, I just said that wrong. APVs. Things like the VFX graph and some other great tools I'll be showing you today. So inside of Fantasy Kingdom for Unity 6, again, we did this with URP. This is going to show some of our new CPU and GPU performance improvements. As I mentioned, adaptive pro volumes, all the foliage that you see was created with SpeedTree, and then we use VFX graph to create some of the fun effects in there, which I'll also be taking you through. Some of the really powerful new features, and I'm going to show you all these in the editor, but just to kind of talk over them for a little bit. The GPU resident drawer is a huge, I mean, it's literally you just push a button and you get massive performance gains, especially when you couple that with the GPU occlusion culling. So minimizes draw calls, reduces GPU load by automatically just occluding geometry that's not visible to the camera. So you'll see it in the editor. It's just a phenomenal push a button and wow, amazing stuff. The STP, spatial temporal post-processing. So this, I'll show you this in the editor as well, but this is just basically a scaler. So we render the image at a lower resolution and then scale it up when, I mean, it's unbelievable how you cannot tell the difference even at like 50% resolution, but the performance gains are just magical. So there's a little bit of performance cost. I'll show you that in the render debugger. But yeah, so if you're fragment bound, it may not be the best thing for you, but it's an easy turn it on, turn it off, do a couple tests on your mobile devices and see where you're at. Some great improvements with Vulkan. So there's the automatic render graph pass merging, which I'll show you in the editor, which just basically merges passes together for improvements right away. There was a stuttering issue, so the new pipeline state objects or the PSO API for Vulkan fixes that. That's just built in the software, and then also you can use the Android's adaptive performance, which grabs the thermal data and will lower the frame rate or lower the rendering resolution automatically for you. And then the render graph, this is super powerful. You could spend a whole day just going through this one. It just basically shows you how your passes are being rendered and what order and what resources they're using. I'll show you that in the editor as well, and just allows you to really kind of just dive deep into exactly how each frame is being rendered. And then lastly, this is just specifically for this scene, going from the HDRP to the URP version. We reduced the polygon count of the foliage that was generated again with SpeedTree, and created some LODs, LODs, whatever you want to call them, to get better performance from some of the heavy foliage that was created. But if you're doing anything with trees or plants or whatever, check out SpeedTree. It's just amazing how you can say like, hey, give me a 5-year-old palm tree, and boop, you got a palm tree with dying leaves and everything, and it animates. It's just an incredible tool, which we won't be looking at today, but definitely if you're doing anything with foliage, check out SpeedTree. So with that, it is demo time. So I'm going to minimize this and let's take a look at Fantasy Kingdom. So this is the project. I'm going to show you at the end of the scene how you can download it and install it yourself. It's on the asset store, and if we just take a quick little look at it, these are all the assets from Cinti Studios that you see here, and we've just kind of worked with them to create this wonderful demo. There's so many really nice little features in here, little details as we fly around the scene, and I know that it stutters a little bit through Zoom, so I'm going to try not to navigate too much, but there's all sorts of stuff. There's like leaves falling over here. There's birds flying around. There's butterflies. There's all sorts of wonderful little details. And the world is actually quite large. There's 3 big castles. We got this water wheel over here. with the VFX graph and some other features there to make some foam and some waves. Yeah, so just this wonderful, very large scene. And I'm going to show you some of the great performance enhancements that we've made to Unity 6 to speed all this up. So with that, let's get started. So one of the first things I want to show you is this guy. So we're going to go into Edit, Project Settings, and let's click on Quality. So when you're in the quality settings, you can create as many of these settings as you want. So with this project, we have desktop, high and low, and then three levels of detail for mobile. So this would be like a lower end, like iPhone 6 or 7, all the way up to like the latest iPhone or latest Android phone. And so this will dynamically adjust a whole lot of parameters behind the scenes or with inside your render asset. So if I click on this guy here, just double click on this. This is the desktop asset for the Universal Render Pipeline, URP. And so if I close this up, this is going to show me a lot of the things that are specific for this quality setting. So I can make changes to this one, and then those won't be reflected on, say, the mobile version. So each one of those different, and you can see them here as well, each one of those different settings, those assets have different settings in here. So the first thing I want to show you is I'm just going to pin this up, and let's talk about one of the biggest features, this guy, the GPU resident drawer. So right now it's disabled, and so to show this off, I'm going to go into my game view, and I'm going to turn on my stats. And you'll notice here we've got 1,600 batches, 3 million triangles, and 3.9 million vertices. So I'm going to turn this on, and it's going to actually tell me that, hey, it's not going to work yet. So why is that? Well, I need to set this batch render group variance. So let's go here to Edit, Project Settings. And if I click on Graphics, it's this guy right there. So batch render group variance. You need to make sure this is set to keep all. And once I do that, that error message goes away. And now I can enable instance drawing. So watch this. If I turn this back to disabled, look at that, 1,600 batches. All I'm doing is turning this on, and we've just got rid of 700 batches. It's just like one of these these little magical features. I love it that I can see these little emojis dancing over my inspector, the little oohs and ahs and wows. All right, so if you think that's amazing, watch this one. So that's the GPU resident drawer, but I can also include occlusion culling. So watch this one. Watch the number of triangles and the number of vertices. So 3 million and 3.9 million, boop, 1.4 million, 1.7 million. So like literally just two little simple mouse things or little interface adjustments, and I've just almost halved my batches and more than halved my my visible triangles. And if I go to play mode and just sort of navigate around a little bit, you can see that this works very dynamically. It's just simple magic. I love these features. The one thing I don't like about these features is it's like, okay, build a demo on showing that. Well, man, all I do is turn it on and off, and that's it. It's just too easy. So that's cool. There's another one in here that's quite amazing, and that is this thing here called the upscaling filter. So right now it's set to automatic. I'm going to set this to actually no. You know what? Before I do that, I want to show you one other thing. Let's go to my render debugger. So window, analysis, and let's go get our render debugger. And I like to pin this just in the UI over here. Hang on a sec. Grab this again. So I like to pin this over here. Usually I have this all stuff kind of preset up, but I wanted to show you actually where these menus and tools come from. So that's, again, an analysis render debugger. And if I go to my rendering tab and I switch my map overlay to not STP, which one is it? It's under material. What am I looking for? Where'd it go? It is STP. You know, let me show you STP. Turn this on. There we go. Turn off my stats, and let's turn on the upscaler, spatial temporal post-processing. All right, so what is this doing? So what we're seeing here is it's an upscaler. So by turning STP on, we basically reduce, we don't draw nearly as many of the pixels, and I can scale this up and I can scale this down. Now watch when I get to very low resolution, you can see that we got, I don't know, hopefully you can see this on Zoom. You see we have a little bit of shimmering there. I'm only rendering a tiny little portion of the frame. So this whole big black space here represents a full 1080p frame. And what it's doing is it's rendering just a small portion of it and then using a software upscaler to render the whole frame. And so at this little thing of like 0.1, that's not really good. You want to do something like maybe 0.3, but at 0.3, I don't see any anti-aliasing or any aliasing. It looks very smooth. If I go in play mode, I don't see any flickering or anything like that, but you get a massive performance gain because we're only rendering a small portion of the frame and then scaling it up. And it's like 0.7 milliseconds, I think. And so for each of your different quality settings, if you remember at the beginning, I showed you those quality settings. I think for like desktop, high performance desktop, we set it to 0.7. If you're on a lower performing machine, set this lower. And then even if you're, on like a low end or an older phone, you can set this to like 0.3 and still get a really high quality frame without having to render nearly as many pixels. So again, this is just another one of those magic out of the box, like wow kind of features, because you don't have to do anything. You just click the button and you're good to go. So I'm going to leave this on 0.7 for my desktop, for high performance desktop. And let's go ahead and just get rid of that from our render mode there. And I wanted to show you one other thing. If I click on the GPU resident drawer, which is here, there's a wonderful little debug mode here. So I can click on occlusion test overlay, and this shows off nicely in the scene view. So what we're seeing here is, if you remember, I turned that on and off and it made the stats go crazy here with the reduction, this guy here. Well, you can actually visualize where those polygons are being reduced from. So anywhere that you see the darker colors means that behind the camera or behind the geometry that we see, there's a whole bunch of geometry that's now being occluded. So as I navigate around, I just love these debug modes. It's just cool to see data being represented visually like that. I was doing some fun little tests. It's phenomenal when you have a bunch of instances, like millions and millions of triangles, just magically don't have to render anymore. So super cool. Again, just love visualizing stuff like that. There's also this little stats menu down here. And if I open this up, we can see now there's only one light source in this scene. So normally you'd be able to see a little bit more lighting information if you had more lights, but with just one lights, we got some fairly important information down there as well. So anyway, let's turn that off. I'm more excited about the fun color coding of the resident drawer. Anyway, so that's cool. So that's the resident drawer. That's STP. Two of the really big features in here for Unity 6 to just magically instantly give you faster frame rates, less GPU draws, less CPU time. So just magic. Let's see. Next, what I want to show you is, let's go to analysis, and let's take a look at the render graph viewer. This guy here. So this is huge. Now, what's also important here is, depending what view you have open here is going to basically determine what this is. So right now I'm looking at the render graph viewer for my scene view. And that's really important. I was actually kind of racking my brain around this the other day as I was sorting through this. Like, why are passes that I know are active not showing me in here? It's because, well, I had it open for the scene view. So if I go to game view and do the same thing, window, analysis, render graph viewer, it's quite a bit different. It looks the same, but that there's a lot of these different passes. So what are we actually looking at here? So basically, this top row right here, this contains the render passes, all of the render passes in the order that HDRP executes them. So this happens every frame. These are all the resources that URP is using in the order that it creates them. And then if we look here, we've got these red, green, and gray boxes. A red is a write, a green is a read, and gray means that it's in memory, but it's just not being used on that particular frame. So what does all this mean? Well, basically, in a second, I'll pop up the frame debugger and you can actually see it, how it magically renders a frame. But each one of these things is a pass that has to be created when it renders. What's really neat here is automatically now with Unity 6 is we can merge passes together. So for instance, these 4 passes are now merged together as one pass. So you just get this instant performance boost because they're rendered at once. Now, this one here, this copy color, you can see there's a hole here, this little hole. So if I click on copy color, it's going to open that pass and it's going to say, hey, why couldn't that pass be merged? And it says, well, it failed to merge because draw transparent objects into this native pass. The render target is not, it's not the same resolution. So essentially, this guy here, it's rendering something at this resolution, but the copy color is only rendering at that resolution. So it can't merge those together. What's also great is you can fix this, you can debug this, you can modify this. So if I click on this little sharp sign there, it's going to open your favorite IDE. And now you can go and edit the code for that particular pass. I'm not going to get into this super technical stuff here, but just know for you kind of more advanced programmers, you can dive in there, tweak these passes, create your own pass. And you'll notice here, like we've got STP. So I mentioned there's a small overhead to the STP. So if I go over here and turn this off, you'll see that that updates right away, and we no longer see STP as one of our passes. Turn it back on, and it magically appears. Now, sometimes this won't refresh. If that's the case, just click this little refresh icon, and it'll refresh your passes here. What else can I show you here? Oh, actually, this is pretty cool. Watch this. If I go to Window, Analysis, and we go to the frame debugger. Now, I'm only at 1080p, so I'm a little challenged for real estate, so apologies for poor window management. But if you've never used the frame debugger, this shows you how your frame is actually drawn or created behind the scenes. So every single one of these is a pass, and each one of these is showing these passes here. So every one of these passes here is represented here. So you can see if I kind of go up to the top here, we have, I don't know, you can just sort of match them up. Shadow draw, there's going to be in here somewhere. And as I just kind of scroll down, color grading LUT, there's going to be one in here. So each one of these just represents one of the passes that we are drawing until at the very end, you get your final frame with every single pass. And this executes every single frame. So again, don't want to get too much into the frame debugger. There's a lot of goodness there for you, those of you who are more technical. But again, I just love visualizing data. So just like seeing how all this works. It's fun to start off with like just a completely empty project and just start turning features on, start turning different lighting groups on, and seeing how your scene just magically renders. So again, super powerful to have this now coupled with the frame debugger to really see just how your passes are all created. And again, just clicking on any one of these to see these blitz here, that means it's rendering a bunch of pixels as a group. Yeah, there's our STP again. So again, highly encourage you to dive into there and take a closer look at the render graph viewer. You can get really powerful performance gains, like merging some of these, figuring out what those little errors are, and just really optimizing and tweaking with these new viewers. So good stuff there. What do I want to talk about next? Let's go and show some improvements and optimizations to the VFX graph and the shader graph. So for that, I'm going to type in VFX _ water, and let's find the water wheel, this guy here. All right, so if I frame up on that, again, we got these wonderful little details. So we've got a little river going on here and some particles that are being generated on the wheel right there. So let me just lock my inspector here. So now what I'll do is actually just unselect it so we just see the nice particles. And if I click on edit, that is going to launch the VFX graph. So here's this guy. So this has been around for several versions of Unity now, but what's new here is the new debugging tools. So if I click on this, one, it pops up. Let me turn off the blackboard here. Just get rid of that like so. So the debug information tells us the execution time and the memory footprint that this particular particle effect is using. But since we're not actually in play mode, we're not seeing anything actually update here. So let's just go back to our scene, press play. And if I now go back, I'm going to mute this so we don't hear that. There's all kinds of little wonderful sound effects going on in the background. So now if I go back to my, let me actually make sure I select it. VFX water. Grab the right one. It's water wheel 2, I believe. So yeah, just make sure that's selected. Now if I go back, it'll tell me that I've got 246 particles. They're taking 0.007 milliseconds of GPU's time to execute. So that's not very much. So let's stop this. And let's try to tax the system out a little bit. So let's go back to our water wheel and change this from make sure I get the right one. Let's change this to say 1 million. There we go. Let's see what that does. All right, a million. Is that a million? Yes, that's a million. Cool. All right, so now I've got a million of these particles. So let's go back to our scene view, press play. Just make sure I have that one selected. If I go back to my scene view, I can now see that I've got a ridiculous amount of foam and stuff, obviously way too much, but I just want to show you what that looks like here. Is now we have 1 million particles, and we're still only taking like 0.618 milliseconds on the GPU to execute that. So these are fairly lightweight. Again, this is designed for mobile, so you want those to be nice and lightweight, but man, the emojis crack me up, so keep them coming. I love the way my inspector just gets flooded with oohs and ahs. So anyway, just a nice way of debugging and seeing where you're getting performance gains or performance hits with the VFX graph. So let me go ahead and stop that guy, and we'll go back over here. And let's oh geez. let me tune that down a little bit. Let's get back to something normal, 150. Not that I really need to, but for artistic purposes, let's go back to something a little more believable. All right, perfect. So what do I want to show you next? Let's go and type waterfall and grab this waterfall mesh. And do I grab it selected? Yes. All right. So let's grab the waterfall mesh here. So this is, where is, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, is it here? Nope, hang on. Waterfall mesh. Oh, come on, Mark, where is it at? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, that's good grief. That was locked, of course. That's not going to work. So let's grab this again. All right, perfect. Sorry, I had my inspector locked. I'm like, why am I not seeing the shader? Okay, so on the waterfall mesh, we have something created with shader graph. So if I click on edit here, that's going to fire up our shader graph. For those of you that aren't familiar with shader graph, just a wonderful tool that it actually kind of is the preferred way of creating shaders now with Unity 6 and URP. So rather than having to write a ton of code, you get to use this nice visual UI to create some of these wonderful effects. This is your blackboard here. So any of the parameters that you have here, you can see when I mouse over, they highlight here in the editor. But what's new here, and I actually have it turned on. I was supposed to not have that turned on so I could show it to you magically appear, which is if I go to color mode, heat map, we now see a visual color coding of what the performance is of each node. So the closer they get to red, the more, or the less performant they are, the more computational time they're taking. And then as we get to lighter colors, they change. So you can define your own colors. If you go into the manual, it'll tell you what all these colors mean. But this is super useful for debugging your any of your shaders that you're creating with the shader graph. So really nice stuff there. And again, these if you're unfamiliar with shader graph, all the parameters that you've created here are what gets exposed here in the UI. So basically like a technical artist or a technical director would create these complicated shaders and then hand it over to the artist, and then they just have these tools here that they can control what the look is going to be of your actual shader. So I can change the color, alpha channels, whatever, change the foam. So anyway, cool stuff. It's great that you can now visualize those bottlenecks. Sometimes you don't even realize it, but you may have just a node, again, have a node in here, which is just doing something crazy which was impossible to see before. Now you'll just see it glow like a big red hot spot. So anyway, good stuff there. So let's go ahead and back out a bit. And let's talk about adaptive probe volumes. So if I click on probe volumes and I turn them on, this scene is already baked with a bunch of these probe volumes. So this is kind of the new way of lighting with Unity. All of your indirect illumination, all your global illumination comes through these probes. And so before you had to manually set these all up. Now it's all automatic. Now in this project, they're already baked, and I didn't want to delete them and have a dark scene for you all. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch to a different project really quick. And I want to show you how we do these from scratch, but I also want to show you what the old workflow was. So this is the URP sample scene. This comes with Unity. You can find it in the Unity Hub under samples. And if I go here to turn on, open this up, let's go grab these guys here. Okay, so these are the light probes from previous versions of Unity. You can still use them. They still work. They're still great, but they're a little bit of a pain in the butt because you have to manually set them up. So oops, sorry, I unselected them on accident. Let's grab those again. So yeah, so these are the pro volumes. This is a new little widget here. Depending on what you've got selected, you may get a little bit of a change here. So now I can click on this guy and I can move this pro volume or this light probe around. So this is the old workflow. You had to set these all up by hand. You had to hit add probe or delete probe or whatever and move them all. It was a clunky workflow. They work really well, but surely we could do something better. And so for that, we have the new adaptive probe volume. So watch this. Going to just right click on here and I'll go to light adaptive probe volume. And it says, hey, your URP asset does not support adaptive probe volumes, but it did actually build the volume. So this green box is my volume. I could move it around. I can grab the little handle and scale it. So I could put this anywhere in my scene, but there's even more magic. So let's do that. So it's saying, hey, your asset doesn't support this. So if I just click on asset, and we're just going to go down here and change our light probe settings from light probe groups, old workflow, to adaptive probe volumes, APVs, like so. And then we're good. Now, I don't want to just bake the lighting for just this small area. I could say, hey, you know what? Fit this to all the scenes, fit this to my current scene, or fit this to a selection. So if I maybe just wanted to bake the light around this tree, I could select the tree, but I want to do fit to my entire scene. And what that did is it then analyzed the scene and created not this green shaded box, that's my volume for some different overrides, but it's this green square that we see, this wireframe. So that's the space that it's going to bake my probe volumes. And so normally in a demo, you would never, ever, ever bake lighting because it just takes a while. But I'm going to do this in front of you just so you can see how fast or how slow this is. So we are baking the volumes, and we're actually creating the volumes as well. So we're almost done. There's my progress bar. Oh, that's my task manager, whatever. Come on. Can hear my fan kick on my laptop, and that's it. And so now if I turn on my probe volumes, it just did that. It just baked all that lighting that fast. And these are all my wonderful probe volumes now. And so each one of these probes is representing what an object would be. I love the emojis. Just floods my inspector. So yeah, so amazing. And what's nice here too is I can visualize a couple other things. I can turn on display cells, and that's going to show me, if I back way out, that's going to show me the cells that it created. And if I click on draw bricks, it's going to show me the density. So you have this override setting here. So when it analyzed the scene and created all of those probes, it's using 1 meter, 3 meter, 9 meters, and 27 meters as the spacing. So where there's less geometry, it's going to put the probes 27 meters apart. And again, you can override this, but by default, these are the 4 settings that it gives you. And so I don't have to deal with anything. I don't have to, put all these light probes on in a hallway or whatever. It just magically, whatever my density is, it's just going to automatically create these probes and put them in the in the appropriate place. And the quality that they do for the lighting is just amazing. So let's do this. Let's go and let's turn off this and this, and this and this. Let's turn off the cells and the bricks. And I'm going to go to a part of the scene over here where I just want to show you what this kind of looks like. So we'll park the camera right here. And let's go to my render asset. So edit, quality settings, and let's go to quality. Perfect. Make sure I get the right one. Okay, so here I'm going to switch from adaptive probe volumes to my former way, the light groups. And now I'm going to go into my rendering tab here and just make it so that we see, no, not material, I want to do lighting, sorry, and go to global illumination. All right, so this is the lighting that was done with the light probe groups. This is the lighting that I just baked using APVs. Look at how much more range of color there is on the foliage with APVs than there is with the light probe groups. So it's a better quality light, and it's just so much faster to set up. And you can just see the difference as I switch between the two for APVs versus light probe groups. So if I keep this on APVs, let me show you something else in here. If you go to Pro Volumes, there's this wonderful little debug tool. Again, I just love visualizing data. Let's go and turn off really quick. Let's turn off this and go back to the full color range. And I just kind of zoom in tight here. And now I'm going to go to my Pro Volumes, and I'm going to click on that this guy right here, debug probe sampling. So if I turn that on, now I can click on the select pixel, and it's going to show me per pixel what the contribution is from each. Oop, I actually I clicked on it, which I didn't mean to do. Click on this again. So it's showing you per pixel what light probes are contributing to that color. So you can see there's showing me the 4 highlighted light probes. If I back up a little bit, back my camera up, and I point at the ground, you can see we're getting those red 0.00 contributions. So those are light probes which are down below the surface. You can see that one right there. Well, it's dark, it's black, so it's contributing nothing. But as I move around, we've got all the wonderful color sampling. So this really allows you to get down to the per pixel as to what you're looking at. So good stuff there. While I'm here, I'll show you one other debug mode, which is where is that one at? It's under material, lighting complexity. So if you go, again, render debugger, material, lighting complexity, this shows me, this was actually in the previous version of Unity. This isn't quite new for Unity 6, but not a lot of people know about it. This is going to break your, whoa, that was weird. This is going to break your view up into showing you these tiles. So it's telling me that 3 light sources are rendering basically the pixels in that tile. So we've got a per pixel sample, and we also have just this one here that's going to show you the complexity that way. So anyway, good stuff there. You can do this on either project, but this one here just shows it a little bit better since we had the light probe set up, which is why I thought I would show it to you here. Since this one doesn't have light probes, this one is just using APVs. Thought that'd be a little bit better way of showing you that. So what else can I show you? Let's go into our file build profiles. And if I click on Android, now, if you decide to download this at home and you want to make a version of it for your phone, if you have an Android phone or on a Mac, whatever, you just need to switch the platform. I'm not going to do it just because it takes a second. Make sure you have these 2 scenes set up. But what I want to show you here is this development build checkbox. And so when you check that, it's going to actually include some more shaders, but it's going to allow you to enable a development debug mode on your Android device. And so I would click build. This would take a couple minutes to create the build, and it's going to make my APK. I like to use Dropbox. Just drop it in my Dropbox folder. It syncs up with my phone or my tablet, and then I can install the executable. Now I've got running here in the background, or maybe not. Oh, my tablet went to sleep mode, so let me redo this. Hang on. All right, there's my Android tablet, which I've got this little USB capture device, and there we go. Let me make this big. All right, so I don't know what you guys can see, but I've got my tablet in my hand. This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus. And if I open this up, here is Fantasy Kingdom running with the debug stats. And the way you enable the debug stats is to just, it's a 4-finger press on your tablet. So four-finger gesture, and it comes up. 3 fingers is going to bring those guys up. Oh, hang on. There we go. Yeah, so now I can see some of the performance stats just by clicking that little debugger mode. And then if you click on these, I know it's probably hard for you to see what I'm doing, but if you click on the blue arrows at the very top, you can cycle between some of the different modes. You can turn on different rendering analysis, different things like that. And my little USB capture device is limited to 30 frames a second. So we're locked there at 30, so we don't see a huge change. But this is me just moving my finger around on my tablet like so. So anyway, good stuff. I can change the quality settings, mobile high, mobile low, and this is changing some of the settings behind the scenes that I showed you in the quality setting. That's all coming there. Again, that's live from my tablet. So anyhow, that's a lot of the stuff I wanted to show you in the editor. I mean, some of those checkboxes are just amazing. You don't do anything; you just push a check, and you're good to go. But let's go back really quick to slides, and just want to talk to you a little bit more. I'll pop this URL or this QR code up here again in a second. So if you want to take a snapshot of that, get your phone ready. But also want to show you how you can actually install this, because it's through the asset store. So it's a little different. If you've never installed something through the asset store, this is what you do. Basically, you fire up the Unity Hub and you click on the new project button. I would say you can have an existing project open. That's fine. If you don't have an existing project, the fastest one to create is just a built-in render pipeline. It's going to replace it anyway. So give it a name if you want, whatever. And after a few seconds or a minute, whatever, you're going to have an empty scene open up in Unity. Then you'll Alt-Tab over to your favorite browser, find the Fantasy Kingdom in the Asset Store, and click on Add to My Assets. It'll ask you to log in. So now you're logged in, and then open the Unity editor, and magically it will download and update. This is going to put it into the package manager. So from here, click Import 1.0 to project. And this is the most important thing I wanted to show you, and why I'm actually showing you this process of installing, is this button here. So if I click Import, it's going to import Fantasy Kingdom in Unity 6 into the project that I just created. What I recommend you do is click Switch Project. And what that'll do is create a brand new standalone project with everything set up correctly, instead of trying to merge it with your existing project. A lot of times on the asset store, you're just wanting to asset it, or you're just wanting to add like a texture or maybe an animation or a character. So you would merge it with your existing project. But in this case, since it is an entire project, just click the switch project button. It will fire up Unity 6, and you will then be inside of Fantasy Kingdom. So there you go. Again, here's the URL if you want to download this yourself and mess around. And yeah, that kind of wraps up sort of the technical part of the demo, and some additional resources. We're going to mail everybody these links. There's some great YouTube videos that really do a deep dive on a lot of the stuff I showed you today. I just kind of wanted to whet your appetite, show you where they are. And again, like the render graph in particular, it's so powerful. There's so much in there. I could do an entire webinar just on that. So dive into that. Love the love and the emojis and the happiness. So yeah, we're going to send you all of these links. And with that, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you all attending. Hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Super great to see all the different countries and cities that y'all are from. So from Redondo Beach, California, I'm Mark. Thanks again for attending, and we'll see you on the next one. Look at all that love. That's amazing. I wish I could capture that somehow. I probably can. So anyway, cheers, everybody. I think we'll stay on for a little bit of QA if anyone has any. And I know Zane has been answering a whole bunch in the background. I don't know if there's anything that I missed. There's lots of questions and answers. And you know what? I'm going to fire up the old snipping tool. And how about everybody give a whole bunch of emojis real quick? And I'm going to capture that. Sweet. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Hope you love the presentation. And with that, I will catch you all later.